Mr. Weli Kemevo, also former head of civil service. And then we have the Chief Labor Officer of the Labor Department, Dauda Ibrahim Brahima, who is also here. We have important dignitaries from the Kaizen Institute of Labor Economics, Dr. Yaoba and Brother Edu Amankwa here with us. Former Secretary Generals of the TUC, the Trade Union Congress, that is. Also, I'd like to acknowledge all members of Forum also here with us. All chief directors that are here with us, your presence is duly acknowledged as well. All right, all protocols duly observed. I'm sure there are more important people with us over here, and then we'll be acknowledging them as the program goes on. At this juncture, I'd like to invite the Executive Secretary of CLOCSAC, but before he comes in, the clock band.
There's a new summer we call the promised land, and I'll be there someday. If you would hold my hand, I still here beside me. No matter what I know, but I know I'll never find another you. There is always someone for each of us, they say, and you'll be my someone forever and a day. I could search the whole world over until my is true, but I know I'll never find another you. It's a long, long journey, so stay by my side. When I walk through the storm, you be my guide, be my guide. If they give me a fortune, my pleasure will be small, for I could lose it all over, and never mind at all. But should I lose a love deep, I don't know what I do, but I know I'll never find another you, another you, another you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Closak Band. I've been given the privilege to introduce two more dignitaries. I'll do it the best of my knowledge. The first one is Honorable Rashid, Minister for Employment and Labor. Am I right? The second one is my own very good friend, Professor Victor Kwame Ajima. He is the chairman of all our services, the Ogwa Kwata. In fact, this program is on its knees. Thank you for coming. I'm here to welcome you. And first of all, my very good friend, the Holy Spirit. Yes, my good friend. Not friend, good friend. Honorable Rashid, Chairman Public Services Commission, my own head of civil service. We have a fight. Today we'll finish that fight. My retirees, Honorable Nana Jamna, today is honorable because he's going to retirement. Honorable Weli Komevo, you are looking too young. And Evans Jikum, we have Labour represented by no other person than Dr. Yaban. Dr. Yaban give us a way, they don't know you. And the strong man himself, Edu Amankwa. He's got a lot of stories. One day we'll invite you to give us some of the stories. We have our Chief Labour Officer. Our Chief Directors are here. I can see Madam Felicia smiling, always smiling. Lizzie joining. And then our closer executives. All protocol observed. I can't mention all. On behalf of the National Executive Council, I'm privileged to welcome you to the 8th Nathan ANANG QUAO Lecture and Excellence Awards. The theme for the 2025 session dwells on constitutionalism in the President's appointment of chief executives in the public services. A reflection on the Presidential Transition Act 2012 at 845. Constitutionalism draws attention to the use of power by government in a manner that inures to the benefit of the people. The knowledge that sovereignty resides in the people makes it imperative to assess the actions of government in a manner that eventually leads to good governance. Thus, constitutionalism encompasses areas beyond constitutional activities. The Presidential Transition Act 2012 at 845 establishes arrangements for the political transfer of administration from one democratically elected president to another, democratically elected to provide for the regulation of political transfer of power for related matters. These appointments have not been done in accordance with Article 195 of the Constitution, which states, the power to appoint persons to hold or to act in an office in the public service shall vest in the President, acting in accordance with the advice of the Governing Council of the service concerned, given in consultation with the Public Services Commission. Government disregard for Article 195 and the Presidential Transition Act 2012, Act 845, in appointment into the public services, affects good governance principles like transparency, accountability, participation, rule of law, effectiveness, efficiency, responsiveness, and equity. These principles aim to build trust and ensure that the public service operates ethically and effectively. These concerns, if not addressed, will affect Ghana's public-private partnership initiatives. Some of the challenges to the public-private partnership initiative include imbalanced risk sharing, which makes projects unsustainable, lack of transparency and accountability mechanisms, which lead to corruption and mismanagement of funds, insufficient capacity building in government agencies to effectively regulate and manage public-private partnership projects. We are going to delve into the constitutionalism of the President's appointment of chief executives. The special guest speaker would shed more light on the subject. Today's lecture will be an opener in that, beyond successful transfer of power, other issues linger on. You are once again welcome to the 8th edition of the Nathan QUAO Lectures and Excellence Awards. Thank you. God bless you.
You've been gone, it's an empty bowl. Come on back when you're ready to know. You are always welcome home, welcome home. You've been kept down for much too long. Stand up, please, and say I am free. Don't forget you are welcome home, welcome home. Come with me on this happy trip back to the promised land. All will be happy again. Come with me on this happy trip back to the promised land. You are always welcome home, welcome home. Come with me on this happy trip back to the promised land. I will be happy again. Come with me on this happy trip back to the promised land. All will be happy again. Welcome home.
Did you enjoy that? Then give a resounding applause to the Clock Sack Band. A reminder that we are also streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube as well. When you go on there and look for Clock TV, you'll be able to watch us live. Also, Clock TV is in all 16 regions on all the digital platforms. So if you just scan your TV, you'll be able to see it. We're also live on channel 184 on Go TV. So Clock TV goes beyond the policy. So up next, we have a short documentary, as affectionately being described in ANANG QUAO by former President Jerry John Rawlings. We have a short documentary, and the Clock Sack Media will bring it to us.
Was one of the most respected civil servants. Even a Champom's regime attempted or tried to use his services, his efficiency, his integrity, his honesty. We cannot allow Mr. Nathan QUAO to just pass away without something in his memory.
Get ready for the 8th Nathan ANANG QUAO Excellence Lecture and Awards Ceremony. Save the date. This year's theme is Constitutionalism in the President's Appointment of Chief Executive Officers in the Public Service. Reflections on the Presidential Transition Act 2012, Act 845.
We have examined and analyzed the Presidential Transition Act 2012, Act 845. We are yet to identify any provision authorizing the President to terminate, post, appoint, and transfer any Chief Executive Officer, Chief Director, Head of the Department, and any employee of the public institution and public corporations. All of us should understand that to move this country forward, it should be Obiandinile.
Join us for an enlightening session with Dr. Daniel Appiah, a political governance expert and lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Legon.
Ghana really gained independence as a shining example of economic development in Africa within the colonial administration. It was a shining example because, not because some governor had done the work, but the civil service in the Gold Coast had really delivered.
Date is 29th October 2025. Time 10 a.m. sharp. Location is the Nathan QUAO Auditorium. Don't miss this opportunity. Tune in live on Clock TV and let's illuminate our understanding of constitutionalism together. Excellence in action, knowledge in motion. Be there.
Mr. Nathan.
One thing I actually gathered from the video was that to move this country forward, obianya den, obiandinile. That's Dr. Isaac Bampuadu for you. Shortly, we shall be having a lecture on the theme constitutionalism of the President's appointment of Chief Executive Officers in the Public Service, reflections on the Presidential Transitions Act 2012, Act 845. And to help us introduce the guest speaker, we have Mr. Edmond Akwe.
Thank you very much, Naneo. Good morning to you all. Good morning to you all. Great. Now, I know I have audience in the house. I am honored to be called upon to introduce our guest speaker for this August occasion. I acknowledge the presence of our Minister for Labor, Jobs and Employment, Honorable Rashid Hassan Pelpo. Sir, you're welcome. And I stand on all existing protocol and I proceed. Our guest speaker is Dr. Daniel Appiah. Dr. Daniel Appiah is a lecturer with the Department of Public Administration, University of Ghana Business School, since 2014. He specializes in public administration and management. Dr. Appiah holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Politics degree at the University of York, UK. He also holds a Master of Philosophy in Public Administration degree from the University of Bergen, Norway. and a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science major from the University of Ghana. Dr. Appiah is particularly interested in public sector reform processes, promoting gender inclusiveness in governance, and improving public sector performance. He has relevant experience in working with local and international acts to undertake evaluations of public sector reforms and contributing to building state capacity for good governance. Dr. Appiah's recent research on public sector management have been published in Public Organization Review and Public Administration and Development. He is currently the coordinator of the Masters of Arts Public Sector Management degree program in the Department of Public Administration. He has supervised many undergrads, master's students, PhD students in diverse areas of public sector management. In 2024 and 2025, Dr. Appiah was invited by Parliament of Ghana to deliver post-budget workshop presentation to members of Parliament. He is also part of the team from the University of Ghana Business School, delivering training programs for parliamentary services. Our Dr. Appiah is a member of the Technical Working Committee developing the National Decentralization Policy Strategy, NDPS, to be implemented by government in 2026 to 2030. Dr. Daniel Appiah is an advocate of the emerging public sector management paradigm called Public Value Governance, PVG, which emphasizes equal treatment of citizens in public service delivery of basic needs for human well-being. Dr. Appiah values human well-being in society, truthfulness, transparency in social and professional relationships. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with all these credentials and with the standing order, can we please welcome Dr. Daniel Appiah as speaker for today's ceremony. Doctor, you are most welcome to the 8th Midterm ANANG QUAO Lectures and Awards. Thank you. Oh, let's keep clapping. Let's keep clapping, please.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister for Employment and Labor Relations, Honorable Rashid Hassan Pelpo, Professor Victor Kwame Ajiman, Chairman of the PSC, Dr. Evans Agridakon, my former lecturer at the University of Ghana Political Science Department. Nana Kwesi Ejekum Jamina, former head of the civil service, who held my hand gradually to move from academia to learn more about practice. Mr. Kamevo, former head of the OECS, Dr. Yao Ban, chair of the Ghana Statistical Service Board and former TUC board. And then Mr. Isaac Bampo Ado, Executive Secretary of CLOSAC, and all other protocol observed. This morning, I feel highly honored to deliver this guest lecture about a highly distinguished man who served this country through the period of colonial rule up to the present Fourth Republic. I don't really think that I am worthy to describe the man's achievements, but only to bow and then salute his achievements. So this morning, the topic before us is one that calls for sober reflection as we try to understand not just the constitutional basis of our public services, but also as we try to navigate the path to move forward in building a better public sector in Ghana. Some of the critical issues that we need to pay attention. So I am very happy that we have our distinguished chief directors here who have contributed their immense effort to build the civil service that we have and in the public services generally. So I will want to just go straight to talk about the topic, constitutionalism in the president's appointment of chief executive officers in the public service. Particularly, we are going to reflect on the Presidential Transition Act, which at some point became the subject of contention at the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court delivered its rulings on the subject matter. I will give a talk about the public services of Ghana in terms of its scope, and then I'll talk about the constitutional foundations for quality public service if we really desire to build a quality public service in this country. I'll bring some experiences, or the experiences of the UK, Sri Lanka, the Gold Coast, and then Ghana. Why Sri Lanka? Because at some point when we were very close to independence, and then we were asked, what kind of public service do we want as a country? We said that we want the same structure that had been created for the people in Sri Lanka, at that time called Ceylon. I'll talk about the structure of democratic government across countries and how they may enable or constrain the efforts to build a quality public service. And then we will reflect more about how the structure of our constitution and then the structure of the public service may or have constrained or enabled the efforts to build a quality public administration system. So let me go to what the public service is about. I am usually not used to standing at the same place because I am very passionate about what I do, and usually I am not used to standing at the same place. But today, you have cornered me here, so I have to be cornered here. Right, so in talking about what the public service is about, we all reflect on Article 190, Clause 1 of the 1992 Constitution, which states the composition of the public services of Ghana to include the civil service, the judicial service, audit service, education service, prison service, parliamentary service, the health service, the statistical service, the National Fire Service, the Customs Exercise and Preventive Service, which is now part of GRA, the Internal Revenue Service, also now part of GRA, the Local Government Service, and then the public corporations other than those set up as a commercial venture. I need to remind you that all these services used to be under one umbrella called the civil service in this country. And then with time, many of them were taken out of the civil service, and now we have the civil service as a small subset of the bigger public services. At a point, I will draw our attention to such historical development as to whether it has helped or not. To discuss about the constitutional foundations for presidential appointment into Ghana's public service, I agree with the Supreme Court judge who stated that I agree we must adopt a purposive construction of the constitutional provisions. That means that we do not construe words in the abstract, but within the context in which they were used. Meaning, in talking about the constitutional foundations of the public service, it's not just our distinguished native men, at that time the Constitutional Commission, that's the QUAO Commission, did not include a woman. And so the first time that Gold Coasters were asked to now draft a constitution, which became the 1951 Constitution, they spelled out clearly what it is that we want our public services to look like. The 1951 Constitution, with the draft laid by the QUAO Committee, also points to the 1946 Sovereign Constitution that had been developed in Sri Lanka before they gained independence in 1948. And we were later to gain independence in 1957. So the Sri Lankan Constitution and recommendations really was something that our constitutional designers drew our attention to as something that we can also emulate. And so if we are talking about constitutional advancement and how we have structured our own public services, to understand its genesis, we have to travel also beyond the borders of this country. The Sri Lankan Constitution and then the commission that drafted it also points to the efforts that had been made in Britain since 1854 called the North Coast Trevelyan Reforms that laid the foundations for building a professional civil service in Britain. And then the British themselves, also in reading their documents, they also point to the advancement and foundations that the Chinese had laid down, from which the British also copied what became the civil service in Britain. So the Chinese developed their civil service over more than 1,500 years before the British actually developed their civil service. So the Chinese had a system where those who were employed in the public sector wrote examinations and then took part in interviews, and then the best were selected. And they practiced this for more than 1,500 years before Britain built its civil service on that foundation. I bring all this history to highlight the fact that what we created in Ghana as a civil service, which comprised all the public services that I mentioned, that's now fall under the public service, it's emerged from somewhere. The principles emerged from somewhere, and we are trying to build upon it, and then to use that model to develop the public service. So if we really are serious in paying attention to the key principles of the public service, a quality public service, including impartiality, non-partisan commitments to work, political neutrality, independence from government interference, then we have to trace it back to where those principles emerged. And in the political context, that helped to shape the emergence of the civil service and then the public services. So there is abundance of knowledge that affirms that today's developed countries, especially the economically developed ones, like Japan, Germany, France, Denmark, and even China that is emerging strongly, they all developed strong public service bureaucracies long before they adopted multi-party democracy. And so the principles that we are here to espouse, of which the renowned Mr. Nathan ANANG QUAO actually stood for, emerged in a context where political party democracy did not exist. Later on, political party or multi-party democracy will emerge and appear to be creating some problems or finding it difficult to sit hand in hand with the principles of non-partisanship, neutrality, and impartiality, and all those things. And so, because we are reflecting on constitutionalism, which goes beyond just the rules within the constitutional framework under the Fourth Republic, and we have to reflect on the aspirations of the people that shaped those kind of constitutional imperatives. What is it that they desired? What kind of public service that they wanted to create? Once again, I will take you back to the United Kingdom, where we took the framework of our civil service from. The United Kingdom developed multi-party democracy, and the first party to win multi-party elections to form a government in the United Kingdom was the Labour Party, and they won elections in 1924. By the time the Labour Party won elections in 1924, the United Kingdom government had already set in motion and created a professional civil service through the 1954 Northcote and Trevelyan reforms. And so for 70 years, they did not have political party influence in the establishment of the civil service, which we also try to build upon. Within the British jurisdiction, there arose a time where people were fed up with their monarchical system of governance, and many wished for a system of democracy free from monarchy. And it led to the British Civil War, creating two main divisions: the Whigs, who supported parliamentary supremacy, that's the supremacy of parliament over the monarchy, and then the Tories, who advocated that the monarchy was still relevant and it should be reformed gradually. And as each of these groups gained access to power, they recruited persons who were adherents of their own ideologies. And so it wasn't, recruitment into the public service was not based on equal rights of all citizens. It was based on which group do you actually subscribe to. And that led to a situation where those whose groups were not in government became bitter and then fed up with the system. So whenever a group gets into government, all those who were in the public service largely had to be kicked off, and then new recruitment had to be done. And it led to a situation where now many citizens and then groups call for reforms. And so that's led to the 1854 reforms that became the bedrock of civil service reforms across the entire British Dominion during the colonial rule. So the principles of the public service, which they technically called the civil service, included recruitments through open and competitive examinations, promotion based on merit, not based on who you know, and not based on which royal family group you actually come from, permanence and political neutrality of officials, a service that continues to exist regardless of whether it is Tories or Whigs that found themselves in government. Once again, all these reforms occurred long before multi-party democracy emerged in Britain. So when the British finished with their reforms, at least during that period, they took their reforms to Sri Lanka, one of the countries or territories that was under the British colonial dominion. Ghana also came under the colonial dominion of Britain from 1807. And so at the time that the British were implementing their reforms, Ghana was already under the colonial dominion of Britain. Now in Sri Lanka, they formed political parties from 1821 before they gained independence in 1946. The formation of parties like the Ceylon Labour Party, which was modeled along the British Labour Party, the Lanka Samaja Party, Ceylon Indian Congress, and then All Ceylon Tamil Congress now also introduced this kind of contentions among political party groupings over who has got the right actually to recruit people into the public sector, especially as they got closer to independence. A commission was formed, the Sovereign Commission, and then they made recommendations. And let me quote the primary foundation for the building of the public service in Ceylon. They said the primary object of our recommendations in this regard is to remove the public service so far as possible from political interference. So political parties had come into Ceylon or Sri Lanka, and then they began to have problems with principles of impartiality, political neutrality, and all that. And so within their constitutional framework, they affirmed that the public services should be removed very far away from political interferences. How were they going to do this? To do this, now they also advocated and they put it in their constitution that the Public Service Commission that was to be created should not be under the government's control, and members of the commission should not be appointed by the government. Who then was to appoint the members of the Public Service Commission? They placed it in the hands of the Governor General, who was a British and not a Sri Lankan, because they felt more at ease that someone who was not a Sri Lankan might be able to protect their independence in terms of recruitment and promotion than their own political party government. Now, Sri Lanka will get independence, and later the Governor General will no longer be there. The powers of the Governor General will now be transferred to now the President or the Prime Minister in Sri Lanka. And so, if you look at where Sri Lanka departed from the reforms that had taken place in Britain, the reforms in Britain that created an independent civil service commission under which all the public sector organizations were part of. In Sri Lanka, now after independence, now the president or the leader of government was now the one who was in charge of appointing the members of the Public Service Commission. Now, Ghana was also about to get its independence. And then, as I've already stated, our first noblemen who had distinguished themselves in the society were put together, the QUAO Committee, and then they were asked to draft the constitutional rules for an effective public service. But in their document, they just simply stated that they want the constitutional rules that the British had jointly developed with the people in Sri Lanka, meaning the creation of a public service commission with all public services, where appointment of chief executives and then the heads, as well as permanent members, will not be under the control of the president, but will be managed by an independent body. But perhaps what they had not reflected in terms of the QUAO Committee was the fact that now the Governor General of Britain was no longer going to be present in Sri Lanka after the independence, and his powers were to be transferred. And so Ghana's first national constitution, created by our own indigenous citizens, that's the 1951 constitution, had the rules that the Governor General should be in charge when it comes to the appointment of members of the Public Services Commission. Independence will come someday, and that powers will be transferred, not to an independent entity, but now to the Prime Minister. And later, when we transition into a Republican state under the presidency, it will be handed now to the president. And that will mark a departure from the principles of non-partisanship, impartiality, and then political neutrality. Now, if you read what is on the screen, that is from Article 70 of the Sri Lankan Constitution of 1946, you may think that it is from the Ghanaian Constitution, because the words are almost similar to what we have in our Constitution concerning the appointment or remuneration of the Auditor General. Once again, you have to understand where it came from. So in the Sri Lankan Constitution, it says there shall be an Auditor General who shall be appointed by the Governor General and who shall hold office during good behavior. But with similar words, what changes is that now the person is appointed by the president. In terms of remuneration, the Sri Lankan Constitution stated that the salary of the Auditor General shall be determined by Parliament and shall be charged on the consolidated fund and shall not be diminished during his term of office. Check the 1992 Constitution and you see word for word. Here, the framers thought that by placing the appointment of heads of public sector organizations like the Auditor General in the hands of an independent Governor General, they will be able to secure a more independent, impartial, and nonpartisan system of government. They moved beyond that, and then in Ghana, we also trying to emulate the principles of an impartial and meritocratic public service system. We created a system of examinations for our public service chief executives and head to take. Let me just read a few of the things that the heads of the public service organizations were to do. Between 1920 and 1940s, the following is the syllabus of examinations for political officers in Group A and Group B. Once again, for political officers. For political officers. Now, to get appointment and for appointment to be confirmed in the public service that have principles of meritocracy, competence, non-partisanship, and impartiality, you were supposed to write examinations in 3 parts of a paper. Part 1, you were supposed to study and pass the Anson's Law of Construct and Fraser's Compendium of the Law of Tort. What was a political officer going to do with law? The rationale was that now being a political officer who is going to now make policies or help make policies and implement policies, you yourself must understand the legal foundations of the country. If you pass the first part, you are not done yet. You need to pass the second part, the 7 digest of the law of evidence, meaning that as a public service officer, you need evidence on how to interpret legal evidence when it comes to policy formulation as well as implementation. If you pass that exam, you are lucky you are not done. There is a 3rd part of the exam that you have to pass, and that covered many legal rules and regulations that you needed to learn to pass, including the mosquitoes ordinance. If we are all fighting mosquitoes, you cannot sit down. You have to also be part of it to help fight it. The Arms and Ammunition Ordinance, the Births, Deaths, and Burials Ordinance, the Commissioners Ordinance, the Criminal Code. Here too, we are seeing all these legal rules, once again, that you need to learn and pass. The Criminal Evidence Ordinance, the Criminal Procedure Ordinance, the Native Administration Ordinance. If you are going to be a public service chief executive in a jurisdiction, it was important that you understood the customary rules or native rules of your people so that you can respect native authority and know how to interact with them and then join hands with them to make appropriate rules to govern the country or to implement those rules for development. You also to pass the Native Customs Ordinance, and aside this, you also to write the local language for the area where you are interested. So if you are interested, now for a position in Accra, you have to learn the Gan language and pass. If you are interested for a position in the Ashanti region, you have to pass the Tree language. You have to learn the Tree language and pass. Whether you are a British or a local person, you have to actually learn the local language and then pass, or have a basic knowledge of the local language. Today we may ask ourselves, to what extent do we prepare not only civil servants or the chief executives that we've appointed into many executive positions, but the political officers that are also appointed into government? Are there criteria, or do we have some criteria to ensuring that those who get into government actually understand the nature of the job that they are supposed to do so that they can better cooperate with the public servants in order to move the country forward? From the late 1940s, in the Gold Coast, political parties will also now begin to raise their head, as we know. August 4th, 1947, the UGCC was formed, and 12 June 1949, CPP also came. As soon as the political parties were formed, if you remember the history from Britain and in Sri Lanka, you can tell that problem was coming. And that there was likely to be a head-on collision with those men and women who were preaching non-partisanship in the public service, with those who were now going to gain power through political party elections. So in 1949, the country, that's the Gold Coast, we made an order that with effect from 1st October 1949, officers are not permitted to be members of political organizations or associations. Officers are entitled to their own views in political matters and to vote at elections if they are qualified to do so, but they are not permitted to express their political views publicly. In particular, making speeches or joining in demonstrations in favor of any political person, party, or propaganda is prohibited. I believe that this rule still has remained in our civil service code. Within the, it's still there. And we've seen pressure brought to bear on some chief directors or high-level civil servants and others in other parts of the public service sometimes to resign. Within the local government, we've seen that those who have contested for elections on party positions sometimes have been asked to resign. And if we go back and then we check on the media, we'll see a lot of resignations or people who have been forced to leave the service. So these things were done even before the political parties assumed the reins of government from 1951. But did we have enough time, like the British, in building a non-partisan, impartial, politically neutral civil service and then a public service, independent of political influence? Because from 1940 or 49 to 51, it was just too short. The onus will now be on whoever assumes the reins of government, which came to be the CPP, now to ensure that we build a system that other countries had built without using political party in government. How was this going to be possible for a developing country? Where other countries have built their systems independent of political parties, we had adopted multi-party democracy first, and we were now trying to develop a very strong civil services for the country. But in 1953, when the country, or as the country got ready for independence, once again we were asked to come out with the kind of constitutional rules that we want to govern this country at independence. And so from 1953 through the Achimota Conference of 54, 55, and then the 56 reforms, there were constitutional proposals put forward. And it was stated in the 1953 constitutional proposals that the opposition, that's the opposition party, had put forward the following proposal: appointments, promotions, conditions of service, and other matters concerning the public service shall be entrusted to a public service commission composed of 5 members, 1 from each of the 4 regions, and a chairman, all of whom shall be appointed by the Governor General on the advice of the Council of State, and there shall be a common training center for all civil servants, the maintenance of which shall be chargeable on the central government. And in the document, it was stated that the proposal was supported by the Asante-Man Council, the Northern Territories Council, Transvolta Togoland Council, and the Joint Provincial Council of Chiefs, today's National House of Chiefs. Distinguished men and women here, we may ask ourselves the question: how far have we come in creating an independent public service commission free from government appointment and then political interference? How far have we come in creating a civil service free from government appointment of the head and then other members of the commission? Because this was the constitutionalism and then the constitutional imperative that the citizens of Ghana advocated for. So we see clearly that right after independence, the public services that we had created, that throughout the British Dominion was held to be among the very best in Africa, and among the very best throughout the British Dominion, now suddenly crashed. We didn't even spend 2 years, and the principles of neutrality, the principles of permanence, the principles of non-partisanship that we had built or tried to build, which other countries, tried to emulate also from us, we didn't actually sustain it. I have a graph that I think, team, please scroll so that I can write. So here, the blue line there is Ghana, or the Gold Coast. And from the 1920s, our efforts to build a rigorous and impartial public administration system on the principles of non-partisanship, neutrality, permanence, was going quite well. On a grade of 0 to 4, at least, it was more than average. And it was a civil service, as I said, all the agencies that today are under the Public Service Commission were under the civil service. So it was a system that was revered throughout Africa. But just right after independence, 1956, 1957, now we crashed. The question that I want to pose for our reflection is this: that we had not developed the values of the people who took over the management of the civil service? Is it that the British, those who left the country, took away the values of civil service, including impartiality, non-partisan influence, appointment independence of patronage and clientelism, and who you know? What's happened to Ghana's civil service system that's made us to crash right after independence? I believe that it is not just a matter of the constitutional rules in the Constitution. If a constitution is to work, it is the people who carry it forward. If the constitution is to work and the public service is to work, it must be based on the ideas, the values and principles of the people who aspire for the rules of constitutionalism. We can create very lofty rules within the Constitution, but if the people are not ready, if their mindset is not ready, if they have not been educated to appreciate and value and uphold those kind of rules, we will crash, regardless of what we put within the constitutional rules. We see the red line, that is South Korea, that was far below Ghana in terms of the quality of its civil service or the quality of its public administration system. Far below Ghana. But from the 1940s, 1950s, now we see South Korea emerging and then building a better public administration system. In fact, ours used to also be better than Singapore. And they also emerged and gradually built something better because they have stable government, not the frequent changes and not that kind of bitter and chroma UGCs and other opposition groups. And they were able to build a system of public administration that today, at some point, even became better than their former colonial master, Great Britain. Honorable men and women, the country that was colonized has overtaken its colonial master. It can be done if and only if we are so determined to move forward. The general mantra that it is colonialism that undermines development in Africa and continues to hold us down is something that we need to actually carefully examine, because other countries like Botswana, that used to even exchange governors with the Gold Coast, have been able to move forward and build better systems of public administration, and their levels of economic development have surpassed Ghana long ago. And yet at independence, Ghana was about 4 times, if not 5 times richer than countries like Botswana that were also being colonized by Britain. How did they do it? They created the men and women with the appropriate values and mindsets that were in line with their constitutional principles to move forward. So, as we embrace multi-party democracy, we need to pay attention to the deep core values of democratic governance. Democracy emerged long before multi-party emerged. Democracy in Athens and Greece was there before political parties came. And the principles have not changed. The principles of equal rights of citizens to well-being, the principle of equal treatment of citizens, the principle of meritocratic recruitment into public service. So if we are really serious in building a democracy that works, I believe that just as other countries have tried to structure their public service system in such a way that they are mindful of how the emergence of multi-party democracy affected them, we can also be very mindful and structure a system of public service that will become very competent. And I'm glad that currently we have a Constitutional Review Commission or committee that is doing the work. But we hope that we will have appropriate rules. But once again, the rules will not be enough. If we do not implement the recommendation of our forefathers that we need a vibrant, more capable and strong civil service training school that will train civil servants, that will build their capacity and move them forward, we will not be able to make it. A number of times when, if I should follow Executive Secretary's description, of the former head of the OACS, now Honorable Nana Dramina, who brought me to help and also observe how the promotional interviews are done. There were a number of times where I observed that people who have come for promotions, if you look on their appraisal forms, there were areas that they are clearly indicated that there was a need for training. There was a need for further training and further capacity building. But for 2 years, you ask them, have you done this training? Have you done that training? And in many instances, they've done some, but also there are many people who had not been able to do the trainings. But they were there to be promoted to the next level. So as Nana Kwesi Ejekum Jamina said some time ago, the certificate of our public and civil servants will even sink a ship. But it's not just a matter of the certificate, it's about the values, the capacity, and the competence to actually do the job. And unless we take seriously the QUAO to make our civil service training more effective, we will not be able to get there. I come from a public sector training institution where I still ask myself, why is it that we have thousands of graduates who come out of the public universities, and yet we don't have a single course on leadership that all the graduates undertake? But yes, when they get to the public sector, we expect that they will be good leaders. Leadership is not God-given. Leadership is learned. And leadership people must be trained in terms of how to lead. So, as I get closer to the end of my presentation, we need to take note of the fact that different countries have created different systems of government that will accommodate their systems and then build a better public service that is effective, competent, independent, non-partisan. For instance, if you look at the political system in New Zealand, the Prime Minister has no directly set terms. That is, so long as his party and then the people believe that he is performing well, they will continue to elect him. In Singapore, it's the same story. The Prime Minister has no set terms. So long as the party continues to win and they believe that he is the best person, they will continue to vote for the person. We saw how Angela Merkel of Germany stayed in power for about 20 years to help build the German economy. If you look at Hong Kong, the Prime Minister serves 5-year terms 2 times. In Denmark, the Prime Minister has no directly set terms. So long as they feel that the person is okay, he will be there. In South Korea, the Prime Minister has no set terms. And honorable men and women, this is also the constitutional framework that we created at independence. A prime ministerial system where we reward the best leaders on the basis of performance. And we do not sack leaders on the basis of having served 1 term or 2 terms. But leaders were rewarded on the basis of performance. As we speak now, Ghana has got the shortest term limit for the presidency system across the entire Africa. It's only in Ghana and Nigeria where the president is given 4 years to produce magic. Across all other countries, they know that a developing country cannot use 4-year electoral cycles to produce magic. But even if you are to do that, you have to create a public service that is insulated from these short 4-year electoral cycles. If you don't do that, forget it. There is no way that you will be able to achieve what you actually seek to achieve. And we see that from our history, where in the time where we created a legislative house, where political parties were not there, Ghana made greater economic progress than the time from 1951 when CPP and others now took control of the House. And we have experimented with 5-year tenure of office for Parliament and then the President, and then until 1979 when we had 4-year tenure of office for Executive and 5 years for Parliament. And 1992 we now adopted 4 years for President, 4 years for Parliament. We thought that we were creating a system that will push Jerry away quickly. That's okay, he has stayed there for long. But once he goes quickly, whoever comes will also go quickly. And we forgot to insulate the public service from partisan interference in the system that produces quick turnovers. So currently, Article 190 defines the composition of Ghana's public service, as I've already stated. And 191 clause 1 states that a member of the public service shall not be dismissed or removed from office or reduced in rank or otherwise punished without just cause. So here we have to reflect on our constitutional advancement. Have we really created the rules, the constitutional rules, that will ensure that even if the person is not dismissed from office, once a new government comes, the board members will continue to support this person to be in office once the president now appoints new board members for that same organization. Because the appointment of chief executives must be done with the board members and then in consultation with the Public Service Commission. And so if the board members say, no, we no longer like him, then at the end of the day, all the years of service that you've worked, well, you have to find your way out anyway. And so the constitutional provisions, although appear to guarantee a secure tenure of office for chief executives whenever we have a new government entering in, but if you pay critical or closer attention to the constitutional architecture, you will see that once the board members do not support the new person, the person may have to be pushed out or may be pushed out by the new government and then retired. So as we head towards a new constitutional advancement and reform, I urge all stakeholders, political parties, to now contribute in building a better constitution that will protect the public service. The Constitution states that it is the president who has got the power to appoint persons to hold or act in an office in the public services. So the power of appointment vests in the president, acting in accordance with the advice of the Governing Council of the service concerned, given in consultation with the Public Service Commission. It means clearly that the president is appointing authority of chief executives and other senior officers of the public service. But such appointment must be made with the advice of the Governing Council of the service concerned, given in consultation with the Public Service Commission. Now then, given this constitutional rule, in 2012, we had the Presidential Transition Act that was enacted. And in the Presidential Transition Act, Section 14, Clause 1, states that on the assumption of office of the person elected as president, a person holding any of the offices specified in the schedule shall cease to hold that office and shall be paid the relevant retirement benefits and the enjoyment of facilities are provided by law. And then the schedule included persons holding offices as ministers and deputy ministers, regional and deputy regional ministers, special assistants, special secretaries to the president, secretaries to the vice president, non-career ambassadors and high commissioners, as well as persons appointed by the president or the minister of state as members of statutory boards and corporations. We have gathered here to celebrate the venerable and high-achieving great statesman, Mr. Nathan ANANG QUAO, and we ask, if he were still alive, as at the time that this was made in 2012, would he have been supported to continue to hold offices as the colonial government has supported, as the NLC has supported, as PNDC has supported, as the NDC government has supported him, and as former President John Ejekum Kufuor has also supported him? As the years go by, you see that the competition for political power deepens, and it affects the non-partisanship of our public services as well. It is time for us to create insulation mechanisms that will promote and then protect distinguished men and women who really want to work very hard than the venerable Mr. Nathan ANANG QUAO. Otherwise, we have no better future in building a better one for Ghana. The time has come for us to really reset and then go back to what the citizens of this country are actually aspire to achieve on the dawn of independence. If we are really serious in resetting, then it is not just about what is it that we've put in the Constitution or what is it that we've put in legal enactment, but we have to ask ourselves, practicing a system and a public service system that was built in an era of non-partisanship, what kind of rules should we amend and then create in order to create a better public service for Mother Ghana? If we are not able to do this, there is no way that we will be able to advance Ghana. And so the Supreme Court judges clearly ruled that the intent of Section 14 is clear. It is to ensure that a new president is not saddled with non-career office holders appointed by a previous government. And yet, and this is from the Supreme Court judges, and yet Section 14 conflicts with the tenure provisions of the Constitutive Act of many statutory boards and then corporations. Sometimes the behavior of the Supreme Court sometimes baffles me. Because if you look at their rulings from 2015 to 2019, there are many things that really, if they are really to adopt a purposive interpretation of what the public service should be, I ask myself, why did they rule in certain ways? For instance, if you're in the education service or health service, that one they say that the rules of non-partisanship doesn't apply to you. You can contest for party positions or constituency positions. But if you're unfortunate to be in the civil service proper or the local government service, that one, those rules really actually catch up with you. And yet, all these agencies were under the same civil service as independents. And with time, now we started creating them as specialized services. And so if you are to adopt the constitutional or purposive interpretation of what the constitutional advancement should be and what the people actually desire, we should not be having such conflicting partisanship and non-partisanship within the same civil service and our public services. I bring my submission to an end and once again call on all the distinguished members gathered here. Will Mr. Nathan ANANG QUAO have actually been able to serve not only the colonial government from 1936 to 1953, serve Kwame Nkrumah's government from 1959 to 1966 as a diplomat, serve now the NLC, National Liberation Council, as principal secretary at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, serve the same NLC 67 to 69 as deputy secretary to the NLC government, served the 1969 Second Republic as secretary to the Executive Council, served the Second Republic also as secretary to Presidential Commission and Council of State, served the Second Republic as secretary to the President, Edward Akufo-Addo, served the National Redemption Council as secretary to the NLC and also as head of the civil service, served as chairman of the Ghana Education Service Council, served as secretary at the PNDC Secretariat from 1984 to 1993 under Rawlings's regime, and also served as special assistant to the president from 1993 to 2001, that is former President Jerry John Rawlings, who eulogized him as we heard. And also under the NPP regime, under former President John Ejiokum Kufuor, was also made the board chairman of the Agricultural Development Bank. If he were alive from 2006, as the party competition heated up, now to the 2020 or 2024, will he have been supported? Will you be supported with the current constitutional rules? Will you be able to become bold like he was and then offer non-partisan, impartial advice whilst advancing the cause of this particular country? The time has come really to reset and create a system that is impartial, non-partisan, free from political interferences. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. No, it's a wonderful presentation. And I'm so delighted. That's for this one, I like it. But they said Nathan QUAO, 1936 to 1953. Colonial government. He was a teacher of what? Accra Academy. No size. If you are here, the only place to take your son is Accra Academy. Beleu. You also have Bloby in the house. Okay, we hit the ground running because of time. We'll go straight to comments. And we start with, it will be selective so that we'll do it quick. Mr. So, Chief, you can, Nana, give me another mic, eh? Give Chief mic. I have a question, but today my sister says I shouldn't talk, so I won't talk. So the first one, Chair of the Public Services Commission. Nanaya, give the mic to the Chair of the Public Services and stop distracting your own self. You can come here so that they see you. They see you, want to see you.
Thank you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. He's my very good friend. That's why he surprised me. Even though I'm here for the comments, I would, Honorable Minister, distinguished Deputy Chief of Staff, One of the things that I would like to say is the first thing is that this is an excellent presentation delivered by a true professor. And he lays the basis for the Public Services Commission and our job. And in fact, one of the things that the reason why he's a good friend of mine is that he's doing the work that the Constitution says that the Public Services Commission of Ghana is supposed to do. And if you take him from what the speaker alluded to, the Public Services Commission was set up primarily to protect public servants from executive overreach. That is what is stated. But from 1948, that is said, right down up to this time, all governments, whether it is the Governor General, have always not allowed Public Services Commission to protect public servants. Why? Because the public service is the cream, someone will say creme de la creme of government. Look, if you check the people who are employed, it says that 50% of formal employment in Ghana is by public service. 50% of the other formal employment is by the private sector. But if you put them together, it's only 15%. 18% of informal, 80% of informal is by the private sector. Why? Because the public service exerts some influence. You know, and that is why governments appoint. But beyond the appointment, and I agree perfectly, is what he mentioned, determination. And we informed the constitutional, sorry, I'll be finished very soon, the constitutional committee, that, you know, one of the challenges is that Article 195, which he mentioned, talked about the fact that the president, His Excellency the President, will appoint on the advice of the governing board, given in consultation. But look at 190 to 199, chapter 14. There is no provision on termination of public servants. That is a major default. And therefore, all that we use is 297, where it talks about implied power. The person who appoints you can then what? Terminate your appointment. And that is a major constitutional challenge that we have. So we need, as he said, all of us, and that is what he has been championing, that it should go beyond the civil service. It is not only the civil service that is non-partisan. For us at the Public Services Commission, Article 285 states that, and that talks about the fact that it is, it's more about the fact that ethics. You see, you cannot be employed as a chief director in, or let's say a CEO in highways. You work with a minister, and then you go into party politics, and as highways, you come again the next day and say you are advising the minister of highways. Will he accept your advice? No. So it is not only about the civil service. All the public service is non-partisan, and that is the position of the Public Services Commission. And that is what we all have to rise up and safeguard. Otherwise, unfortunately, everybody, we are seeing a trend. First it was CEOs. It came to deputy CEOs. Now it's come to directors. And directors are supposed to be the technical arm of, you know, agencies. And people are saying that even now, that when they come, I saw one person say, let us move public service, public servants, and then have a new set of public service. He has sounded the alarm. Please, ministers are not supposed to terminate. Now they have done termination. That is what it should not. The 195 says it's the president that terminates. 1952 says that if the president wants a minister to terminate, it should be in writing. And then a letter that was submitted to us by, at that time, the executive director of, it was the executive director to the president, His Excellency the President, indicated, that was Prof. Tuguba, indicated that even where His Excellency the President has written that a minister or any other person should terminate, 195 should also, one should what? Apply. That means that that minister or the other appointee should seek the advice of the board given in consultation with the Public Services Commission. So no minister can appoint unless it's with the written permission of the president, but then you should seek the this thing of that. And that is why we also told CEOs when they were first appointed that no CEO on his own or her own has the power to appoint anybody unless the board is in place. That is the constitutional provision, and that is the position of the Public Services Commission. But we see that these are flouted. This is an excellent presentation. I think we all need to come together. Otherwise, by the time we wake up, the public services will be all changed when there is a new administration. Thank you.
Thank you. We all need to come together. For any comment or it's straightforward. So let me introduce one or two dignitaries that have come. We have Dr. Mrs. Stella Ejidin Boatin, the Vice Chair of the Public Services Commission. That's why his boss was speaking with vigor. Let me introduce the other person, my own sister, Nono Yebampuado. I will not ask the position. You can add it yourself. Bello. So our next to make a comment is my good friend, Honorable Rashid. You can stand here. We want to see you how tall. I'll not come near you because I know this one there, you beat me.
Thank you very much. I think I also applaud our professor in his very spirited presentation. The question of civil service relating with politicians has been a matter throughout history in Ghana here, throughout our history as a nation. And he noticed it from 1948 until now, when the ups and downs appear in the way we handle our civil servants. But for me, let's look at the whole structure. The machinery of government cannot run without the aid of the public service, and specifically the civil service. And when the machinery fails, it's not a civil servant that is blamed. It's the politician sitting over it that is blamed. But on the other hand, you say, don't have an influence in the civil service, be out here, be at your lane, and let me be in my lane. But failure must be yours. So the politician begins to ask, what about this guy who doesn't behave normal? Can I keep him in my office? According to the Constitution, you cannot say anything about it. If there must be anything, like Prof has just said, it must be the president. And I don't know how many politicians will wait for the president to write to you and say, sack this man, or remove him from office. That is why sometimes those transgressions often occur. But it is true that An independent, impartial, deliberately conscious civil servant will ensure that the minister himself is protected, he is guided, and he is supported to do what he is supposed to do. But every now and then, and I have been saying it, when you enter the civil service structure, and there are a lot of largesse in that, in the ministry within which you are operating, you don't know anything about anything. It is a civil servant who comes to tell you, do this and do that. Because many people enter government and are promoted to be ministers without knowing the inner workings of the civil service. Rather than the kind of advice that can let you go straight, they give you the advice that can let you be somebody else. They tell you where to find the money, what to do to protect yourself, and what to do so that you can attain ABCD. This is something we must look at thoroughly. I want to see a situation where, and in my ministry I'm experiencing it, where you can be warned. And I was warned one day when I was giving some money to travel. They added some amount of money and say, this one, it is apart from everything we have given you, take this one and utilize it where you want to do extra expenditure. I came back, I didn't do the extra expenditure. In fact, I had no receipts for it. So they brought a request and say, where are the receipts? I said, please take your money. Me, I don't know. And they took the money. They said, oh, this is surprising. Why? You should produce something. I said, I didn't use it. I didn't know what to do. I have no receipts also to cover it. But I don't want one day for anybody to come and call me to say, you spent $1,000, you didn't produce any receipts. It happened again when I was Minister for Youth and Sports. One day somebody came to me and said, did I know that the lunch the food they have been giving me is up to 3,000? I said, what food? Not knowing every single day they bring some food and they give to some of the big men. And sometimes when I'm available, they will bring me a plate of food. Then I ask them, where do you find this food? They say, oh, it's a normal thing. We give you food. Then somebody asked me whether I knew that the money was up to 3,000. I paid the money. I said, look, don't charge it to the government, but don't bring me any food anymore. Yes. You know, there must be fear in the minister to avoid causing trouble. And the person to do it must be the civil servant. Let them know their limits. Don't impose on them things they can easily avoid. This issue about a minister is found to do ABCD is because the person to guard him is complacent himself. So it is a very important situation. And I think that I have said it several times. When my good friend Dr. Bompo and Co came, Closac, and they were complaining that why should the president appoint the head of the registrar of Birth and Deaths? And I said, yeah, it's in the Constitution. They said, no, but the man has party colors. And I said, yes. No, I'm a politician. I'm the president. I saw people in some party colors when they were campaigning. And those are the people I know very well. Now you are asking me to appoint somebody. I look around, I see the person who I saw yesterday following me. So if I appoint him, have I committed any crime? And they said yes. And I said, look, if you ask a politician to appoint somebody, he appoints somebody he knows. He won't appoint anybody he doesn't know. So that's another contradiction in the relation with our public service. The politician knows the person who follows him. He can trust the person who has been with him all the time. He knows that that person can do the job. So when you ask me to appoint, I'll go and appoint the person I know, who I know can do the job. But we are told that it contradicts the tenets and principles of the civil service structure. Anyway, so my comment is that in the overall scheme of the workings of the civil service structure or the public service structure, you are confronted by the need for external guidance in the person of a public elected person. That public elected person would want another election to win. So he will want any guidance that can help him to win the next elections. And so there is a direct contradiction in you wanting to be independent and he wants to be able to win his next elections. And so that contradictions often result in he trying to introduce his thinking, his thoughts, and actions in the actions of the civil servants. It can be understood in some ways. In many ways where they are not where it is not understood, please, it's important to guide him and to protect him. It is essential for our overall interest in protecting the civil service structure. And I believe that once that civil service structure is sacrosanct, is respected, the independence, like the independence exhibited by the great ANANG QUAO, is secured, we can be sure that we are running a system that is productive. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know whether you want to comment. I will comment. You see, when Honorable was speaking, I was listening carefully. But let's have this at the back of our mind. We have made sense in the civil service. We discipline them. There is due process. If any civil servant does anything that is wrong, there is due process. There are Sunjuhini, you know that Sunjuhini, President Atamios, the High Court told him, you have no right to dismiss any civil servant. Odum, and this thing. They told him, yes, with all due respect, Mr. President, you cannot dismiss any civil servant. 195 says that you appoint or act in accordance with the advice, not your personal reason, or you see someone in a party, paraphilia, the way he dances, you like this. No, in accordance with the advice of the council involved. That's how we appoint, not your personal. So the public service is not your personal property. That you can feel if your cronies and anyway. Let me. So Honorable, so Nana Jamna. Nana Ejukum. Please come forward. I'll pay for this one.
Thank you, Doc, and thank you, Mr. Bampo. I'm not sure about the nature of your doctor, so I don't want GTech to come and create anything. And the two honorables, good afternoon. I've just a couple of things, two and a half things to say. There's something about what he said, Singapore, Malaysia, Botswana, Korea. They've developed pasta. If you look at the thing. But one thing stands out, it's the same party over 25 years. Different prime ministers. But the same party over 25 years. Maybe there's a lesson for us to learn. Ghana have 8 years, or 4, depending on the situation. Is there a lesson for us to learn? I remember President Kufuor said maybe we should move to 7 years, and there was some mayhem. Maybe there's something that all those countries, you can look at them. The 4 years, 5 years thing doesn't work, and that's something that we need to do. So that's something that. This one I know I'm going to create problems, but the good thing is I'm retired in the house, so I don't really care about what he said. Chairman of Public Services Commission, head of civil service. There are chief directors who've gone through due process. They have gone through due process. They have passed the interviews. They have not been posted, and there are people occupying chief director positions who have not gone through due process. I don't think there's a matter for the president. It's a matter for the Civil Service Council, and it's a matter for the Public Service Commission to deal with. You see, at times we talk of political interference and we put you all to the point. What are we doing about that? What are we really doing? I know of 3 people. They've gone through the process. It's not easy to pass the chief director's interview now. It's a 4-stage process, Eddie. And the guys have been sitting in the house since January. And there are 3 people, there are people occupying chief director positions. That is political interference. Or it's administrative malaise, whatever it is. I think that's something that we need to do about that. Then the final thing that I want to see is, I've had a situation where I've worked with 3 chief of staffs, and all of them asked me the same question at a point in time. Are you MPP or NDC? And you know my response? My response was, it's a good question you're asking. It means I'm doing my work well. It means I'm doing what? My work. All of them asked, 3 chief of staff, we MPP ni and now we NDC ni. Then I said, I'm doing my work well. Because they could not, people were surprised at my firmness, my giving people advice, fearless advice, telling them what is wrong. So they were not sure whether really it's because I belong to that party or this other party. Bampo's sister here, she knows. I mean, she used to buy me a lot of chocolate when she traveled. So now that she's come back, I hope the chocolate will come back. But on a more serious note, she used to come to my office. I'll go and tell her, no, man, what this thing you are doing is not right. She's here. And I'll tell her. At times she will accept, others will not accept. But we're there. I was still accepting the chocolate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You want to make a comment, yeah?
Right.
So you can.
Just a short one. Right. I remember that I think about 3 years ago, the Department of Public Administration created a committee, which I think I was the leader, and the department was asked to nominate someone for award. And it was Nana Kwesi Jekum Jamina, whose name we submitted for his distinguished service, although that award ceremony didn't come on. But I am praying and hoping that whilst he's still alive, the university will give him the due recognition for his work. Thank you.
Dr. Agri, 2 minutes. Dr. Agri, 2 minutes. Eddie, timekeeper.
It's not fair, why? Why you call
I know
your
him.
head? You call your head.
I know him. Everybody here is a student.
Please prepare some memo for him.
2 minutes here, Paucho.
You invite your head and you give him time. And you call something interference, right? That is what I call the typical definition of interference. But thank you very much. I'm proud of you. I mean, Chair of the Public Service Commission, I've trained no less than 10,000 of our graduates, and he's one of them. And so I'm proud. A number of our ministers, and I'm proud of you. So if I should die today, I know I have delivered. Okay. Because you have, and always I was telling you that I wanted you people to be better than we were. I was, and I'm happy that you have delivered this paper. It's important, and let me write on the existing protocols and say that this is the interface that we need. Yes, we need this interface. The interface between academia and practice is always necessary. And Aristotle, Plato had said, and you remember, that if we really want to develop, then we need to strike a synergy between men and women of action and men and women of thought. And so this will continue to, and the Civil Service Act itself empowers us to actually do that. And that is why we are recrafting our relationship, building on what it is that my former has, ancient and modern and the medieval, had put in place for us. So thank you very much. But is this a very critical subject matter that you have introduced? And if we really want to develop, then we must also reflect on the way we have conducted ourselves. And Doc, will bear me out that in my engagement with the ministers this year, and I've done that twice, I've indicated that there ought to be mutual dependability. Mutual dependability. The politicians are setting the strategic direction. They'll come with a mandate because they have won elections. They have signed a social contract with the people, the contract between the government and the governed, which contract, when you reduce it, critically we are talking about right to life, liberty, property, etc., to be able to deliver and address the problems of society. But they cannot do that alone. So you need a vibrant public bureaucracy that is also highly professional, very courteous, those who are very accessible, very responsive, and also very efficient, using the care principle, basically, to enhance the quality of services that we can deliver, to make government much more acceptable, because we need to also to build trust in our institutions. And I've said that when there's trust, that is when you have the support of the people. And when people support the institutions of state, then the state gels. Nobody wants to dream bad dreams and destabilize the state because they know that there's hope. It's like when you are in a queue and you know it will get your turn. There's no temptation to destabilize the queue. But when you are in the queue and you know that there are some demons in the queue who are seeking to undermine your progress, then you also begin to dream bad dreams in a manner that will destabilize the state. So the civil service, as you know, is a vibrant public bureaucracy, and I have always argued that it's a service on the hill, really, because we will give effect to the policy intentions of government. And that is where, Doc, indicated, the minister indicated that where they have shied away from that critical advice, they have exposed the politicians. Or where politicians have decided that they will push the civil servants away, they have literally moved into what I call very slippery terrain. And that is where the mutual dependability comes in. Because they are also coming with neutral competence. Which neutral competence I'm advising that must be done with good grace. Because there have been instances where somebody is typing Lord, right? Somebody who doesn't support you is typing Lord. And the person types L-O-R and it's 5 o'clock, he leaves. The following day, you come and add a D. Such a person is certainly not implementing the policies with good grace. So I have called for that mutual dependability and then also insisting that we'll continue to live in the same space. Because when Woodrow Wilson himself said that we need to separate politics from administration, when he himself became a president, he couldn't do it. He couldn't implement. So it's not doable. So that mutual dependability is what we are crafting, and that mutual respect is what we are crafting. So that mutual respect is important. We'll continue to prioritize our tradings. We'll continue to prioritize the well-being and welfare of our people with the support that you provide. We'll continue to depend on government largely to be able to, craft a civil service that is much more potent. We just visited, Singapore to learn from their experience. And the former head related to one critical ingredient of their success story. The fact that since 1959, for instance, they have just had one party ruling, 1959. Since 1959. And Lee Kuan Yew was in government for 31 years. But how sustainable are our policies and programs? And how do we ensure some high level of continuity? Minister, these are things that we need to be looking for. Even within the short term, because the constitutional injunction, the term limits, ideally was, the rationale was to tame presidents across Africa. And you know that Africa had become very popular for the wrong reasons. And so this term limits was introduced to tame our president. But within the context of the term limits, how do you craft a system that ensures that the sunk costs in accounting? I did accounting at least up to advanced level. The sunk costs, I did the A-level accounting. The sunk costs, what we have invested up to a point where the building is at the lintel level and is abandoned. We call it a sunk cost. If you have just done a foundation and you haven't concluded, it's a sunk cost. So a project that is not completed, there's a sunk cost. How do we recoup the sunk cost if you don't complete? So we in the reconfiguration, even within the term limits, there must be a strong determination to want to say that, look, projects must be what? Must be completed, so that we can really reap the full benefit. I'm sure that we'll make progress in these matters. We'll continue to engage academia and making sure that they will also interrogate the workings of the system. And then we can look at some of the gaps that they have identified, and then collectively as a people, why not? Ideas matter. And I'm certain that when we put our shoulders to the wheel, we will build a vibrant public bureaucracy anchored on a civil service that is very agile, very adaptive, very sensitive. But I want my civil servants to appreciate that, and that's what I want you to know. It should not be said that you did not advise. It should not. It should not be said that you did not offer your professional advice. Because sometimes some people are overgrateful, or some people, I don't know whether it's timidity or indecision. Sometimes there's what we call decision paralysis. They are unable to decide. But that is why I want us to exercise that, decision paralysis and offer that professional advice. You offer the advice and let it be disregarded. It's on paper. You are at peace with your maker, and God will judge you fairly. I'm certain that we'll make progress as a people. Thank you very much. I've done 1 minute, 45 seconds.
Thank you. No comments. Because it's a teacher master. I won't put my mouth into it. I know wahala. But we should be very clear in our minds about something. One of the principles of the public service is anonymity. Anonymity. Yes. We don't take successes. We don't take failures. So once you, the politicians, in your manifesto, you claim so many successes, also claim the small fault. And I agree with you. I think we should bring it back. I know whether I heard you right. You said formally, before you get political position, you write exams. 3 different types of exams. So, Chief of Staff, take note. Now, all political appointees, 3 strong exams. One is thought. I remember he said thought. And then nature, law. They must learn so that nobody will deceive them. On that note, my old friend, union friend, should I introduce you by Chobwe or you want it quiet? Dr. Yao.
Thank you, Isaac. I didn't know I was going to speak, so I'll just take a few minutes to say a few words. The first is to congratulate the speaker on a powerful presentation. I'm proud of you. I also studied in Norway in the 90s. So I was happy to hear you came from Bergen. I'm very proud of you. Thank you very much. I also want to congratulate CROSAC, especially my brother, Isaac Bampard, for establishing this very important lecture. I was lucky to have known the late Nathan QUAO as one of the very important people who has worked for this country. There were others, when we were in universities and in secondary school, these were people we were always looking at. Your lecture has brought out a number of weaknesses in our public service. But I'm sure we all agree that we are not doing everything wrong. If we were doing everything wrong, Ghana would not be where we are today. Therefore, I expect that as we point out our weaknesses and try to right the wrongs, we should also look at what we are doing well and continue with it. Definitely, there are some things Ghana is doing right. And sometimes in lectures like this, the tendency is for you to point out only the weaknesses. I think it's proper that we think about what we are doing right as we think about righting the wrong so we can move on. Those that where we fall short is some of the things that you have mentioned, and you called that all of us should work together. I think it's important that you re-emphasize that point. The only way we can develop this country to where we want is to have a strong state institutions that will make our state strong. For as long as our state is weak and we cannot stop what is wrong, including Galamsey, we cannot make progress. But we need very strong institutions. And if there is any institution that we want to be strong, is the public service. Therefore, the points that you have made are important for our big men and women here to take note. Other countries have done it. Don't let us build a partisan public service. It will not take us anywhere. Other countries have done it, and Ghana can do it. Thankfully, we have the Constitutional Review Committee working. This is a good opportunity to right the wrongs, and that is what I want to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I think we now have Deputy Chief of Staff, Nana Oye Bamfuado. You can give her the mic, but I'm also holding a mic.
Thank you very much, and good day to you all. I'm happy you have mentioned the constitutional review process. I'm sure it provides an opportunity for us to strengthen the mandates of the public service, local government, and the civil service, and insulate it further, and also enhance the whole concept of transparency. And the Office of the President has submitted a memorandum to there was a committee, and I know the Trades Union Congress had a representative on that committee, and also the Public Services Commission and the Civil Service Commission, and the Civil Service. So that committee came up with a memorandum which has been submitted to the Constitutional Review Committee on some of the issues that are being discussed presently. Honorable Minister, Honorable Rashid Pelpo was a co-chair of that committee, so we will look at the outcome. Thank you very much for your presentation. Everybody's happy about it, and reviewing the theme, we want to find out if the President showed fidelity to the 1992 Constitution and Act 845 and other relevant laws. And if we have to answer this, then we have to review some of the constitutional provisions. I'll not be very long. There are some provisions and obligations under these two laws that are mandatory for the President of the Republic of Ghana. So sections 1.1, sections 3.1, and Article 63 of the 1992 Constitution enjoin the President to appoint a representative to the transition team within 24 hours after election is declared. And they are supposed to have their first meeting within 48 hours. That is a mandate, that is mandatory. Then when we look at Article 58 in terms of handing over, the Office of the President is required to prepare comprehensive handing over notes covering the term of office of the President. That is also mandatory. And this was all complied. The President complied, and you saw the joint transition team, and they issued periodic notices. We have heard about the distinction between the political appointees and public service officers. And you have interrogated and discussed and assessed Section 14.3 that guarantees legal continuity and insulates the permanent public service from the immediate political takeover. So I will not belabor that point. The schedule to that act also lists very clearly officers and officers whose tenure must end with the president. So that is very clear. I'll not belabor that point. We also have public officers whose office are not specified in the schedule and who are obliged to continue their office on assumption of duty of the person elected as president. The continuation of this office is explicitly stated in the law, and it is subject to the provisions of the Constitution and the relevant law applicable, Section 14(3). And this provision directly incorporates constitutional and relevant legal protection for these non-political civil servants. There's also a list of these specific offices that must cease upon political transfer of administration. The Act also provides for interim or temporary performance of duties when an office is vacated. So what is our opinion and analysis in terms of President's appointment of chief executive officers in public service? I'll refer to Article 195 of the Constitution in terms of the power to appoint persons into public service, and state that it first vests, as you have all heard, in the President in accordance with advice of the governing council of the service concerned, given in consultation with the Public Services Commission. The establishment of the Commission, its advisory role, and other functions are provided for under Article 196 of the Constitution. So it stands to reason that the President does have the power to appoint these public officers, but this power is exercised in accordance with relevant bodies. So the question is therefore, did the President get advice from the governing council of the service or not? Did he act in consultation with the Public Services Commission or not? As we are no doubt aware, at the time these appointments were made, due to the transition from one government to another, the governing councils and boards were not yet constituted. And it is for this reason that all appointees were to serve in acting capacities. And I'm hoping you commented on the acting capacity. So when you review the letters that were issued by the Secretary to the President, that is very, very clear. The rationale was that in accordance with the Constitution and the law, these appointees were to go through the necessary internal processes to be approved, confirmed for appointment. And just earlier on this week, I'm hoping we're having a meeting. I have requested for a meeting with Public Services Commission to ensure that all the appointments are regularized. More so, a check at the presidential records at the Office of the President shows that the Public Services Commission were copied in all appointment letters of the CEOs. In addition, the preamble of every appointment quoted the relevant statute that established that office. Therefore, under the presumptive principle, the powers of the President was legally carried out, both substantially and procedurally. Beyond this, on the 13th of March 2025, President John Dramani Mahama set targets for all CEOs of state-owned enterprises. And since, SIGA has been monitoring performance of the CEOs. In conclusion, upon analysis, a holistic reflection, the President of the Republic of Ghana acted within substantive and procedural limitations of the law in appointments of the public officers. Thank you.
Thank you. Prof, any comment? Make a comment too.
I think
or I should make it for you.
Just a short
You talk, I'll talk. What 195 says is that the power to appoint vests in the president. The power to appoint or act. It says the power to appoint or act. Is that not what it says? No, that one you can correct me.
It's the power to appoint.
The power to appoint and act. And it should be according to the advice. This one, you. The power to appoint and act should be in accordance with the advice of the council. Is there black and white? So thank you very much. I'll hand over to Nanayao before it becomes something else. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, summarize. Sorry, summarize here.
All right, so we'll call upon Dr. Daniel Appiah to give a summary of all the submissions that have been given.
All right, thank you very much. I'll make it brief. So, once again, I feel honored to be here, and I think this great step that CLOSAC and then the civil services and then all the umbrella organizations have taken and then sustained so far should be continued. Once again, I am hopeful and then that where we identify good works, where we identify chief directors, chief executives who have delivered their best, let us not wait for them to pass and then go or die before we come to honor them. Let us stand up with them. Let us advocate for them to be recognized, regardless of where they are. And yes, as our Deputy Chief of Staff has rightly pointed out, if you look at the Constitution, the President has not erred in following the constitutional rules. However, the fundamental thing is that the step to place those powers in the hands of the President deviates from the fundamental principles of creating an apolitical, non-partisan, a competent public service as was started from China through Britain, through the colonial times, and then also as the citizens of this country advocated that there was a need to create a more independent public service commission that will be responsible for all such appointments, removals, and then promotions. And so it is important that we must reset and recess properly and then go back to that fundamental constitutional principle of creating an independent public services commission that will be in charge of the appointment of chief executives of public sector organizations. And as we've seen, all countries that have adopted multi-party democracies, if this step is not taken, there is no way that you can build a competent, less partisan public sector organization that can support you, especially in a country where we have the shortest tenure of office for our president. Across all Africa, only Ghana has got 4 years. So it's so short. If it's just recently that we finished one policy, national decentralization policy, meanwhile, we are into 8 months or so, 9 months, and so we ask ourselves, how long does the president have actually to implement this? So we need a public service commission and a public sector that will be continuous, that will be more independent. At the same time, too, there's one more thing that we need to draw attention. I think that the politicians, ministers, and chief executives also usually are seeking for channels to report or complain about public servants who are not giving their best. And during the past 3 years, a project was started at the Public Service Commission to create a client service unit. The rooms are ready, all the servers are ready, But the contract that was awarded, I think, by the World Bank to some Asian organization, that project is still standstill. And I think that that project should be looked at. If we really want a system that will be very responsive, it is important that Honorable Deputy Chief of Staff, you pick up that project and then help our Public Service Commission. On this note, I want to say thank you very much.
You can make it louder for him. So taking us further will be the Clocksack Band with a musical interlude. But before the Clocksack Band comes in, the Honorable Minister.
Oh, okay. I noticed that people have it very difficult to pronounce the name of my ministry. When he made the first mistake, it was supported by the lecturer, and everybody else is calling it Minister for Labor Relations and so on. No, it is Ministry of Labor, Jobs, and Employment. We have left labor relations long ago, please. Yeah. Yeah, we have moved on. Thank you.
Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, standing on existing protocols, I'm elated to handle this awards session of this great occasion. I'll be doing that with Beatrice Bampo Ado, Anoko Ado, and we wish to acknowledge the leadership of Clocksack for annually having this awards ceremony, honoring gallant civil and local government staff, and in the recognition of integrity, selflessness, professionalism, loyalty, leadership, and the ultimate award. So to kickstart, we'll be having a citation in honor of Vivian Akumia. This citation is being presented to you, Vivian Akumia, in recognition Okay. You can keep the clapping rolling. Thank you for that. I take it again. Citation in honor of Madam Vivian Akumia. This citation is presented to you, Vivian Akumia, in recognition of your active and dedicated service with integrity in the local government service over the last 10 years. Having rose through the ranks to Director Human Resource Management and also as a member of the Local Governing Council of the Local Government Service, you performed your duties with diligence, passion, dedication, and integrity. This manifested through your ability to withstand undue influence to the admiration of colleagues and subordinates. The calm demeanor and the penchant with which you execute work under pressure, how you manage your subordinates at work and on challenging issues, your fairness, transparent, and accountable attitudes are admirable and exceptional. You are always there when duty calls and willing to give of your best to satisfy both internal and external clients, hence worthy of emulation. In appreciation of your service with integrity towards the cause of the local government service, CLOCSA confers on you the Nathan ANANG QUAO Award for Integrity 2025.
And to help us with the presentation of the award is Dr. Yaoban. To help us in the presentation of this award is Dr. Yaoban, the Executive Director of Kaizen Institute of Labor Economics and the former Head Secretary General of TUC. Thank you very much, Klotsak Band. So we'll be calling upon Nana Ajekum Dramna to help us in the presentation of the next award.
Okay, and the next award goes to Mr. Mahmoud Shakil Pedu. Citation in honor of Mahmoud Shakil Pedu. This citation is being given to you, Mr. Mahmoud Shakil Pedu, in recognition of your active and dedicated service to the local government service and Mother Ghana over the last 16 years. From a humble beginning, you work assiduously to project yourself as a passionate and dedicated worker. You are quick to sacrifice your comfort for the benefit of others, empathizing with all who come to you for service. You have shown exemplary dedication to ensuring efficiency and effectiveness towards your responsibilities, and also demonstrated value time and energy resolving the problems of others. The calmness you exhibit when faced with working under pressure and the manner in which you manage issues at work are admirable and exceptional. These unique qualities you demonstrated over the years inspire your colleagues and subordinates. Your hard work, dedication towards the services of CLOCSAG, and passion for quality service delivery and timeliness are quite remarkable and worthy of emulation. In appreciation of your selflessness, contribution to the CLOCSAG, to the local government service and national development, CLOCSAG confers on you the Nathan ANANG QUAO Awards for Selflessness 2025. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll invite our next award recipient in the person of Madame Deborah Sewa Atipo Feeds. Please, a round of applause for her. Congratulations, Madam. Congratulations.
Shall we also invite on stage Dr. Evans Agri-Dakun, the head of the Ghana Civil Service, to help in the presentation of this award.
Citation in honor of Deborah Sewa Atipo Fitz. The citation is presented to you, Deborah Sewa Atipo Fitz, for your exceptional and meritorious service in the management analyst class of the civil service over the last 15 years. From the moment you joined the Ghana Civil Service, you have made a positive impression on everyone you have encountered. Your journey through the ranks to become a principal management analyst has been marked by your unwavering dedication and professionalism. We are united in acknowledging your punctuality, the enthusiasm with which you approach your work, your consistent delivery on assignments, and your exemplary communication skills with peers, subordinates, and superiors alike. Your sense of responsibility is evident in your demeanor at all times. Your interactions and human relations with clients, self-discipline, and resolute nature has earned you utmost respect from your superiors and colleagues. You never relent on undertaking any assignment, a professional attitude that has led to your esteemed position of serving 2 heads of civil service. You have demonstrated and maintained a high sense of professionalism over the years in your approach to work. In appreciation to your dedication, CLOCSAC confers on you the Nathan ANANG QUAO Award for Professionalism. Congratulations, Madam. The next recipient is Madam Felicia Dapa Ajiman Boache. Please, a warm welcome to her. Congratulations, Madam. Please, shall we do it to her?
Also accompanying her should be
congratulations.
the chairman of the Public Services Commission, Mr. Victor Kwame Ajiman, to help. Professor Victor Kwame Ajiman.
Citation in honor of Felicia Dapa Ajiman Boache. This citation is presented to you, Felicia Dapa Ajiman Boache, in recognition of your loyal service to the public service and Mother Ghana over 3 decades. Your impeccable commitment to excellence and exceptional contribution to the service are truly commendable. Your proactive approach, often transcending your assigned duties to accomplish objectives, reflects your diligence in achieving desired outcomes. Indeed, you epitomize what could be referred to as institutional memory in the local government and public services in Ghana. You sacrifice so much in reaching this important service milestone. Your willingness to maintain a good image for the service is highly commendable and worthy of emulation by young employees. Your infallible contribution to CLOCSAC over the years is well recognized and appreciated. Your proactive guidance in directing others to appropriate resources, even beyond the confines of your office, highlights your consultative nature and dedication to effective task execution. In appreciation of your hard work and never-ending quest for the betterment of the service, CLOCSAC confers on you the Nathan ANANG QUAO Award for Loyalty 2025. Congratulations, Madam. Our next award goes to Mr. Noah Tumfo. Mr. Noah Tumfo, please. A round of applause for him, Mr. Noah Tumfo. Here he comes, so majestic. Yeah, Alaji in the making.
Accompanying him is the Minister of Labor, Jobs and Employment, Honorable Abdul Rashid Hassan Popo.
Citation in honor of Mr. Noah Tumfo. This citation is presented to you, Mr. Noah Tumfo, in recognition of your leadership and years of dedicated service to the civil service. You have made a remarkable impact on the leadership ethos and have exceptionally exhibited the utmost attributes of commitment, dedication, and self-discipline in various capacities across the civil service. While serving on several boards, committees, delegations, and teams, you injected rich expertise and experience into policy formulation and implementation strategies. One important legacy that you have edged in the Ghana civil service is how you have defined effective leadership through your outstanding knowledge of the legal norms, rules, and regulations, and the ethics embodying civil service work across the service. Your proactive principles and industrious nature, team building skills have made you an asset the service cannot do without. You exhibit and maintain a high level of leadership in your approach to work, and in appreciation of your commitment to work, CLOCSA confers on you the Nathan ANANG QUAO Award for Leadership. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. In this same mood of excitement, I have the singular honor to give the citation on the ultimate awardee for the 8th Nathan ANANG QUAO Lecture and Award Ceremony. Citation in honor of Dr. Evans Agbeme Jikun. Yes, he deserves more than this. Please, let's give it up better for him.
And to help in presentation of this award is the Deputy Chief of Staff.
Okay, let's clap
Nana
whilst they mount the
Oyebanku
podium. Dr. Chiku. Citation in honor of Dr. Evans Agbeme Jikun. This citation is in honor of Dr. Evans Agbeme Jikun in recognition of your astute performance as a public sector management expert over the last 4 decades. During your tenure as a Chief Director and President of CLOCSAG, you initiated and contributed to many major reforms in the service, including establishment of the civil service welfare packages. You also served diligently as a representative of CLOCSAG on the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, and Ghana Atomic Energy Boards, among others. Your commitments to excellence in service delivery led to you serving on several boards, councils, and committees within Ghana's public sector. These attributes have led to your current appointment as a member of the Civil Service Council. Further, your stout leadership was pivotal to the coordination of a number of public sector reforms, programs, projects sponsored by DFID, USAID, World Bank, and United Nations peacekeeping missions. Your passion for excellence and hard work brought honor and respect to the public service as you demonstrated high level of neutrality, anonymity, and performance in all duties. Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, while I take the last paragraph, shall we, in a standing ovation, recognize this statement Your boldness and calm demeanor in the face of challenges made you a great and dependable leader in the service. Throughout your working life in the service, you ensured the building of capacity of managers and became an inspirer for excellence in the service. By these outstanding accomplishments and commitments to the Ghana Civil Service, CLOCSA confers thankfully on you the Nathan ANANG QUAO Ultimate Award for Excellence and Leadership 2025.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chief of Staff Nana Oye Bampoado. I will have a brief statement by the ultimate awardee winner.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Honorable Deputy Chief of Staff, Honorable Minister, the Chairman PSC, members of the Civil Service Council, Head of the Civil Service, ex-heads of service, both local and then civil service, and then my colleagues from the Labour TUC. It is indeed an honor for me this afternoon. I am really surprised. This is indeed a surprise to me. I was actually invited for the function, and just a short while ago, we were just inquiring who was going to take the ultimate award, not knowing it was me. I want to take the opportunity to thank the organizers for the program, the 8th program for the series. As we heard, today's lecture has been a powerful one, very insightful, very inspiring, that will inspire every individual in this room and beyond to work hard. I've agreed that whatever we do, either a small place or wherever we find ourselves, we are being observed, being monitored, and being assessed. And I'm grateful that about 8 of us have been observed, assessed by the service, and we are given this award. It is indeed an inspiring one, not only for myself, but for the association and for the entire service. I want to take the opportunity at this time to inspire all civil servants to work hard, to continue to work hard, to be loyal, to be transparent in whatever activities that we do. Always continue to be transparent and always make sure we are non-partisan in whatever we do. On these notes, I thank the organizers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Please don't go yet. Can all the awardees come up stage for a beautiful picture, photograph, while the CLOCSA band gives us a musical interlude.
I have forgotten something I want to mention. In my citation, something is missing. The only thing that was missing was that Executive Secretary did not mention that Pepamsie Hotel is not, it's my property, as being alleged all over in the public domain. So yes, take note and add it to that one.
All right, and the dignitaries present as well who helped in the presentation of the awards, please can you join them for the photographs?
Mr. Kemevo, please join us. Mr. Kemevo, please don't join us. My 2 slots, so don't worry, join us. Please join us. I'll carry you. Dr. Yaba, for now, join us. Oh, go. CLOCSAG executives, presidents. Awardees, please take note. We have some prizes with Philip, so make sure you see Philip before you go, or else I'll collect all of them.
Resounding round of applause for all our awardees. All too soon, we are moving to the concluding part of the program, and we'll call upon Anoko Ado to give us a vote of thanks.
Thank you. Still standing on existing protocols, I acknowledge the need for gratitude. Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, I'm humbled to deliver the vote of thanks for this all-important occasion in no order of importance. On behalf of leadership and membership of QUAO, I wish to express profound gratitude to the Holy Spirit for steering the affairs of the 8th edition of the Nathan ANANG QUAO Excellence Lecture and Awards Ceremony. Our next thanks goes to all government dignitaries present at this occasion. To the former and current heads of civil and local government services, we say thank you. We acknowledge delegation of Ghana's 2 major parties, yes, the NDC and PP, for making time out of their busy schedules to grace this occasion. We also thank leadership of the forum, leadership of the Public Services Commission, sister labor unions present here, all members of the Civil Service Council, representatives of civil society organizations, QUAO presidents and executives, former presidents and vice presidents of QUAO. For the insights given on this year's theme, we say thank you to Dr. Daniel Appiah. All chief directors and deputies of ministries, departments, agencies, all directors and deputies of MDAs. We also acknowledge the retired civil service and local government staff here, all 2025 awardees, QUAO president and executives here present, all CLOCSAG representatives, Accra District executives, CEO and directors of Hedge Pensions Trusts. We thank staff of Hedge Pensions Trusts, Gomda and Associates, resident pastor of CLOCSAG, Pastor Bayo. We say thank you to our friends of the media. All protocols duly observed. Ayeko, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's call upon the resident pastor of CLOCSAG, Pastor Bayo, to give us the closing prayer.
Shall we please rise as we pray? The Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord cause his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. The Lord cause his countenance to be upon us and give us peace. Then may the name of the Lord be placed upon you. You are blessed. In Jesus' name. Let's share the goodness together in fellowship. Surely his goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives, and we'll dwell in the presence of the Lord forever. Amen. Peace.
Amen. The CLOCSAG band will take over, but please make sure that you sit down if you are not refreshed. If you have, then please you can make your way to the exit out through the back.
Sani wo ye komo wo chelo wo kuwe Mebe sani wo ye komo wo chelo wo kuwe wo ke sole mo ke pa ke mo be afi wo den ye mo ju di wala hallelujah CLOCSAG wo do pe ko wo ke sole mo ke pa ke mo be afi wo den ye mo ju di wala hallelujah CLOCSAG wo do pe ko Sani wo ye komo chelo wo kuwe wo ke sole bo ke pa pa mo be afi wo den ye mo ju ni wala hallelujah CLOCSAG wo do pe ko wo ke sole bo ke pa pa mo be afi wo den ye mo ju ni wala hallelujah CLOCSAG wo do pe ko Sani wo ye komo wo chelo wo kuwe Mebe sani wo ye komo wo chelo wo kuwe wo ke sole bo ka pa pa mo be afi wo de ye mo ju ni wala hallelujah wo do pe ko wo ke sole bo ka pa pa mo be afi wo de ye mo ju ni wala hallelujah wo do pe ko Bebe sani wo ye komo wo chelo wo kuwe Mama sani wo ye komo wo chelo wo kuwe wo ke sole bo ke pa pa mo be afi wo de ye mo ju ni wala hallelujah CLOCSAG wo do pe ko wo ke sole bo ke pa pa mo be afi wo de ye mo ju ni wala hallelujah CLOCSAG wo do